Welcome to the virtual meet and greet for Brian Courtney Wilson. I am Big Med, the producer from the Willie Moore Jr. Show, and it is a pleasure to be hosting this event tonight. For most people that do not know, Brian Courtney Wilson and I, we go way back, like 6 years ago, way back about 6 years ago. And I'm going to tell you a story about how he saved me one night while I was at work. This brother came in and held it down for me. I'm gonna talk about that when he comes up. But first, let me let you know about the man that we're going to talk to tonight. He's a 3-time Grammy Award nominee, including Best Album for a great work. His new album is out right now. His lead single, Still, Brian wrote it and also wrote and co-wrote the majority of the album during the pandemic and recorded his vocals under quarantine. So we have a lot to talk about because when you do all of that during the pandemic, when we're all trying to figure things out right now, it's impressive. So without further ado, give it up for Brian Courtney Wilson. What's up, baby?
Man, you beat me with my claps because I got claps too.
You got claps too? I got to bring the crowd in, baby.
Man, I'm looking at the sign. I just noticed, man. I like it, and now I'm slightly jealous of it. It's like,
hey,
both of them.
Hey, guess what? I'm gonna send you the link. I'm gonna send you the link of where I got it from. I'm gonna send you the link, man. I definitely do, because you know what? Before we get into the music and everything, I have to say to you, sir, I am so impressed with what you've been doing during this quarantine. Okay, I really am impressed. When I was introducing you, I was telling people that you saved me. A few years back in Houston. So everybody, real quick, I'm doing a show in Houston. I'm doing a syndicated show in Houston. I had a guest host supposed to fill in literally 15 minutes before the show starts. I get a call. They can't make it in.
Yeah, I remember.
I have nothing. I literally am 15 minutes away from opening up the mic and doing the show myself. And at the time, nobody knew who I was. And then, but Brian, as normal, always on time, shows up because he was doing an interview that day with the guest host. And I looked at Brian and I'm like, hey, man, you want to host a show tonight?
What you doing?
He was like, I'm like, are you busy like all night tonight? Or can you got 4 hours on you? And he was like, well, can I talk about it was, yeah, he was like 4 hours. No, you had to make a call. You had to make a call like, hey, yeah, the host isn't here and they need me to do the show tonight. Yeah, 4 hours. Yeah. And he was like, can I talk about my album? I'm like, Brian, you can open up every break with you saying my new album's out right now. And that's exactly what he did.
What's funny, I was so flattered that you asked that I missed the desperation in your eyes at the time. But you will know.
I was like, bruh, please, because I was so stuck. And like, thankfully, Brian did it, held it down for me for 4-hour show. And we promoted the album. But, I also know that that's not the most comfortable thing for you. You know what I'm saying? like doing something like that, especially come on. I threw it on in your lap in the last minute.
Yeah. But what's funny is I've been like hosting a show of late. But I know we didn't come to talk about that, but like those types of things, it's like it planting seeds for where you might be going.
Right.
I believe the Lord will do that in your life.
Yes.
So
and that's what
wasn't comfortable at the time. No.
no, exactly. And I knew that we had discussed that like on some other times. And so seeing what you're doing now, I take full credit for it. And I take full credit for you evolving into doing bro. When you're doing interviews, I saw you with Warren Campbell. Even you doing you performing, because it's like you see a lot of people try to do the big stage performances. Bro, I see you with a mic and just a room, and how clean you sound, bro. Just standing there in a regular room. You're not in the studio. Sometimes you're just in a regular room singing. And I'm just like, this guy is one of the best singers I've ever heard in my life, period.
Wow. Thank you.
And the evolution of you speaking, because again, you've been on our show before talking about how you want to speak more. You want to show a little bit more. Can you talk to me just how during this quarantine you've been able to tap in to maybe some things that you weren't planning on tapping into?
I think focus. I think the confines of where we find ourselves selves can limit choices, can quiet the noise down long enough to really focus on what's valuable to you. And so that's been part of it for me. And then, I talked about the show we've been doing. My mentor had been asking me to do that for about a year, and I hadn't found the time to do it. And then
Right.
all of a sudden I have it, and now it's like, man, I really enjoy it. I don't know how much longer we'll do it or whatever, but it's like week to week, I've enjoyed the challenge of pulling it together, and it's a challenge. I know this now. Just trying to produce it for myself, it's like a lot goes into it. So salute to you guys for doing that on a regular basis, like every day.
I appreciate it, because a lot of people think we just show up, talk for 4 hours, and then that's it.
No, it's not. It's still,
Yeah,
for sure.
yes. Let's talk about Still, man. When I first got my hands on Still, I listened to it, and sometimes you kind of listen to a song and you don't really listen to it. You kind of like skim through it. You just have it on playing in the background, and that kind of thing. So I listened to it. I'm like, all right, cool, Brian doing this thing. He sounds great as usual. Yada yada yada. Then I think the second time I listened to it, I listened to you like the words, and I'm just like, oh, he talking. He talking to me. because when you hear people talk about being still, you've heard be still and know, and you think that, but there's a thing about being still, not rushing, and sometimes letting God just work, because there's a lot of times, like for people like me, if things aren't happening fast enough, I either move on, quit.
Yes.
Like that's me. You know what I'm saying? So when I heard it and the way you sing it, it almost calms you down. It like calms me down, makes me kind of just, all right, let me just be here. Can you talk about Still, and where it came from, and why those words right now?
Thank you for that. Thank you for listening again. That's one of the things our team talks about. Like sometimes I know when we put these songs out, it takes a minute for people to lean into what I'm doing. But for me, one of the things about that song in particular was me just being real about my own anxieties and the times, to your point, where I've let them distract me in ways where I wasn't as focused as I should have been, and I should in spots where I should have kept moving forward and I didn't necessarily do it, or you
Okay.
overact in moments or miss moments altogether because you're focused on things you shouldn't be focused on. So I wanted to get real about that, and then I wanted to get um, real honest about declaring that you can't settle for that. Like again, you kind of quoted it: "Be still and know that God is present. God is with us. God will be God in our situations." And a lot of times, what we need to do is continue focusing on our assignment, even when it looks like two fishes and five loaves of bread is not going to be enough to feed this multitude. It doesn't look
Right.
like this mustard seed is going to be enough faith to get done what we got to get done. It doesn't look like these stones are going to be enough to slay this giant. You got
Right.
to hold on and stay focused, and then trust God's power and grace to make up the difference.
Come on, man. So can you talk about a time recently where you had to take a step back and be still? Where in the past you might have rushed through it, you might have given up, but your maturity now, and where you're at now in your life, you're like, all right, let me just be still, and let this thing work its way out.
Well, I could tell you, just as an artist in gospel
Mm-hmm.
music, where I am, that's something I wrestle with all the time. I think if a lot of artists are honest, they do too. Where you're wondering if you're doing enough, if you have, if you can sustain. You know what I mean? If you are in the right places and you are on the right stages, and are you making enough to keep moving forward, investing in your work and your craft as well as your life to live.
Right.
And so, just even in this quarantine, I just heard the Lord real clear. I've given you enough to keep going. Then that's enough. If you got enough to keep going, trust me to do it. Trust me to keep making the choices and making a way out of no way. Opening doors and uh, causing fruit to manifest in ways that you didn't really think about.
Right.
That's one thing that's an ongoing thing for me, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
from as an artist.
like I said in your intro, you did a lot of work on this project during the pandemic. I think still you wrote that before the pandemic started, but you did a lot of writing and things like that during the pandemic. Talk about the thought process and the where you are in your head when we're in a pandemic. You're putting together a project, and there's a lot of uncertainty out there. So walk me through what it's like putting this thing together during such an uncertain time.
Yeah, I was trying to marry the hope that I know that I'm charged to declare with the sense of mourning and lament I felt, especially when we watched George Floyd get murdered.
Right.
Well, so I'm trying to marry these two things. And in terms of the uncertainty, one of the things that became more clear to me was it's always been uncertain. It's always been fragile. We never promised tomorrow. James talks about this, how it's arrogant to say what you might do tomorrow and make plans as if that is not subject to the will of God. And so we have to remember that every step that we take is every breath we get is a gift of grace, because you can't breathe on your own. And so that's one of the things I'm trying to get at with the record, man, is just this awareness that there's still so much to be grateful for, even with things that may be encroaching, that seem like you want to just rage out over. You still got enough to build for the future, the beautiful future that you want to see.
Man, I want people to see this video that you did. I got a chance to look at it before we got on together, and I think it's well done. Again, I'm guessing you had to do this during the quarantine, of course.
You did.
And so it's well done. It's fitting, you know what I'm saying? And go ahead and introduce it.
Yes, this is my new full-length music video for our title track, Still. Shout out to director Vincent Powell for his work on this, again, during the quarantine. I look forward to you seeing it.
Go ahead. Let's roll it, Jasmine. Shout out to Vincent.
Yeah, man.
Shout out to Vincent, man. The director of that, man. Talk to me about the process about doing that video, boss, because like I said, it was beautifully done, especially with the words coming up, and cause I think the words are so important when it comes to that song. So talk to me about the process of putting that thing together.
Shout out to Vincent for the love and care and passion that he and his team put in that day. Again, we were doing that under the confines of a quarantine, but they were like top-notch and excellent. USC Thornton grad. No, it's not Thornton. I forget the name of their film school at USC, but it's one of the top in the country. And he brought all of that to bear, in my opinion, and I appreciate him doing so. I'm just grateful that we were able to pull it off. And as I was looking at it, I was just like, hey, it came out pretty good, And
One man.
One man. So I'm looking at it now, like
understood.
Okay. How come I might be the
we did all right. I wasn't so sure about the stuff, but it came out all right. It all looked good in it. Yeah. But no, I think, like I said, it was beautifully done. I think it's a very powerful song. I know it's a song that we'll be playing more of on our show, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see it go up the charts, like all your songs do. Like you are somebody whose songs resonate with people. And I joke around with you, but I'm so serious when I say this. Watching you perform in front, and that's why I can't wait until we can have concerts again. I know everyone's doing what they can right now when it comes to performing, and everyone's getting used to performing in front of a camera, basically, and things of that nature. But watching you do what you do in front of a large crowd is impressive. That's all I got to say, because you don't have to do all the extra stuff. You don't have to dance or do or shout or run around. You don't do any of that stuff. And watching you take a break and see thousands of people like singing your song, and it's like you have them in the palm of your hand when you're performing, and it looks like it's nothing to you. You look like you up there easy breezy. I'm just like, he ain't sweating, he ain't singing too hard, but these folks are falling all over the place. This is amazing. Talk to me what's it like just having that kind of ability when you're like kind of zoned in and locked in like that, man.
Well, I tell you, one of my favorite performances of memory is the time we spent at Praise in the Park in Atlanta. And that was,
Bruh.
you know how those are, man. It's like you got 20 people on the card, everybody's there all day, and you just sometimes you're wondering as an artist, do they have enough left to pay attention to what I'm doing? And uh it feels overwhelming, and you're just humbled again because it's grace, man. Everybody's extending you grace
Right.
from the way they pay attention to you, from the way they paid attention to your music before, from the way the radio station has shared it and recorded it so we can sing it together, to the band that was playing behind us, to the venue where we were at. Someone built that so we could be
Right.
there.
Right.
And all those things are brought to bear in those moments, 5, 10 minutes, 20
Yeah.
minutes you get to share. And so that's how it feels. Like I am writing something bigger than me.
Man, look, and I tell people all the time. I remember right after that, we did our show right afterwards, and of course, we talk about it. Our favorite moment, and I think all of us, our favorite moment was you. And I'm like, you have a show like that when like you said, you have a show like that. You have about 20 artists you're on all day, and you were close to maybe like I want to say fourth or third to the end of the show.
Yeah,
and that's when you can get tired.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know who's gonna follow that. I was like, who gonna follow that? Because it was like almost like they wanted more of you. And I was just like, he didn't do nothing. He was just up there singing and had him gone. That was amazing. I will never forget that night and forget what you did that night, man. So kudos to you. I know you went on tour like
Yes.
last year, and you told me that was that like the first tour that you've done that you were like the lead, like the main person on the tour. And I'm just like, I don't understand why. Like after what I saw, I'm like, you should have been doing that, bro. You should have been touring.
And sometimes it's one of the songs, man, on the record. It's called Waiting. And sometimes Dream is waiting on you to walk into it, So
Right.
things we just decided, like, what, we're gonna bet on ourselves and get out here and do this.
You were cold-blooded, sir. I just want to let you know that, man. I have a question from a songwriter on here. I wanted to go ahead and tap into some of these. He said, how would an unacknowledged songwriter break into writing for other artists?
I love that question. Let me tell you why. Because we just showed that video.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy in the video that's helping me with my clothing right at the start
Yeah.
is Toby Hill, who, when I first started as a songwriter, he and I were writing together for a service. No one knew us. We were unheralded. No one knew us. And we were just writing. We didn't know what these songs would turn into. We didn't know what path our careers would take. He ended up writing songs that I have recorded since, including the song called Waiting to Turn, Obey Anyway. And so my advice to anyone that aspires to do this is to serve where you are. Start where you are and meet the need in front of you. Because I think sometimes we try to send stuff to people and give stuff to people that they don't need. And so they don't value it the way it should be valued. But if you could get it to the people that really need it, and usually that's right around you, start there and plant and watch this tree grow until it bears some fruit that the world cannot deny.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's beautiful, man. Because like I said, I get that question a lot too, only because, and it's from artists, because it's being a producer of a syndicated gospel show, having artists in our DMs all the time. How do I? How can I? Can you listen? Can you do? And it's like, and it almost feels overwhelming because it's like I can only do so much. You know what I'm saying? And so what's your advice to maybe the artists that are trying to get some attention? Like, just look at me.
Same thing. I'm telling you, man. And I've been there, and I've been in those spots where, man, if I could just get to so-and-so, and if I could just get them to listen to me, if I could just get in this room, But I'm telling you, one year we were at this ASCAP breakfast. And in previous years, I've gone to this breakfast and they didn't even have a seat for me. Like I would get to the front desk and they didn't know who I was. I didn't have a name tag or anything. And I would feel a certain way. And then over time, I was starting to bear fruit where they were anticipating me. But that was because of the fruit. It wasn't because they got to know me anymore. It was more like, yo, what is this that he's carrying? Well, what I was carrying was what I was cultivating over time, And sometimes I think we are expecting people to acknowledge seed that has not turned into fruit yet.
Okay.
So I would, man, find a place that will value and nurture your seed. Cause I had to find that. Like as talented as you, as much talent as you are ascribing to me. I probably was a better singer when I was younger, but there were still some things that I had to learn from a maturity standpoint. So I could be in certain rooms and I could operate in the right way around people and make sure that I saw where to meet the need. It wasn't just meeting the need for myself. You know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you, man. There's something else that I've noticed about you over the years that I've been in the industry. You don't do that many songs with other people. If I remember correctly, it's usually you're usually by yourself on a song, which is fine because, like I said,
well, we
Brian
did
is
with Fred. We did a whole record. We started a group with Fred Hammond and Dave Hollister.
Yeah, no, you did. No, you did. You did. I'm sorry. You were absolutely right. I remember that. That was like what 2 years ago, a year ago, something like that. It wasn't too long ago. I remember the project.
Yeah, it's called UT.
But is there any artists right now, any current artists that you would love to work with right now? Cause I'm trying to think of, because you could sing with anybody, but is there anybody off the top of your head you're like, you know what, I think that we'd make a really good record together?
I'm still looking forward to connecting with Yolanda Adams. She's my big sister here in Houston. And
I'm about to say, y'all in the same city.
Yeah.
Let's make that happen.
And we've talked about it. It's just, it's about logistics sometimes. And so I'm looking forward to that. And actually, I'm going to leave it at that because I got some other things I got planned too. But I'm going to leave it at that. I'm looking forward to sharing it when it's done. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yolanda for sure is one. We've talked about it. And I know I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen. So
hey, please, whenever that happens, send me the song. Yeah. Send me the song. I will definitely play it, bro. If you could go on tour opening for any artist, living or dead, who would it be?
Any artist, living or
dead? You're opening for an artist, living or dead. What tour would you want to open for? Who would you want to open for?
So many. Donny Hathaway would be one for sure.
In fact, that'd be dope.
You say open, I was like, yo, I don't want to take any more time for that. I'm gonna tell you, one of my favorites is Marvin Winans, and anybody knows me knows that. Like, I love to be in the room when this man sings. He evokes a presence, that I love. I love Fred Hammond. That's my big brother, man. It just has not been a time I've been around him, and we've been out on tour, where it's just like, you feel the deep well that he's drawing from when he shares these songs. So he's another one. And, I always get mad when I see people with Stevie Wonder. I'm like, man, everybody sing with Stevie Wonder. I love to get in there and do something.
I love to get. Hey, let me get it there. No, I totally understand that.
I get to play some cowbell and do something.
Hey, Steve, I got the cowbell. You are good on this. I got you, buddy. Right here with it. I don't even have to sing a note for you. Let me just get this cowbell. What is the one piece of music gear or equipment that you own that is the most important to you? I'd love to hear that. I'm a tech guy, so I'd love to hear this.
Music gear.
Is there a mic that maybe you just special, or what do you got?
I'm looking around, just trying to think. The audio interface. This is gonna sound like a nerd.
So I'm a nerd. Hey, come on, nerd. Let's go. Nerd it out. Come on.
I have an Apogee ensemble.
Okay.
And it's got just a real clean signal if you're dealing with Mac products. And so one of the reasons I love it is when I started, I was trying to get, what I could afford.
Right.
It wasn't as clean. Oh, you know what? I got to go beyond that though. This right here, this microphone stand. I tell people, like, if you're gonna
Oh, you said a stand?
yes, let me tell you, because you can buy stands for cheaper, and I have done it, but I cannot tell you how many times I've had to pick up a stand after it fell. And so, like, when you're trying to record, now you got to pick up the stand because it's not carrying the balance. And this particular stand, which let me see, I want to make sure I know. Can I shout out? Should I shout them out?
Shout them out.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
because there's gonna be other people. I'm a nerd too. And I'm like, wait, he talking about a stand. Let me see what this stand
You're gonna
is.
pay extra for this stand, right? Versus another budget stand, but it's not gonna fall and it's balanced and it's built well. And I can do it's just they're things that are made with love.
Yeah.
If you really love what you're doing, and then you recognize, like, oh man, they really thought about the little things.
Look here, man. Let me tell everybody why this is what you're saying is so important, and why it's not crazy. Because I have the same mic, right? That's on that stand is right here, correct?
Yeah, that's it.
The reason why this stand and is not moving because it's literally leaning on the table. Because if this table was not here, this thing would be on the ground. Right?
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? And so, and I'm telling you, I spent years thinking, okay, yeah, I got the stand, but I had to pick it up all the time. I'm picking it up, and I was like, man, I got to be something better out here. Well, I just had to pay a few more dollars and get a stand that I love, that I'm talking about now. When I should be talking about my record, I'm talking about this stand. And I'm not mad. I'm like, yo, I have joy telling you, like, yo, this is it.
This is the stand. You got to get this stand. The record is out right now. Talk to me about the record as we're supposed to be doing. Talk to me about the record.
I didn't mean it like that too.
No. Because I was thinking about it. I'm like, we really haven't been talking about the record at all. He is so right about that. Yeah. So you have the record out. Still, of course, we talked about Still. We saw the video for Still. The full project, which honestly I haven't gotten. Like I said, I like to spend time with it. I have not yet had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with it yet. So full project. What's some of the songs on there that you definitely want people to listen to, and for what reason? Because there's sometimes I need to hear this song because of this. I need to hear this song because I'm feeling this. Talk to me about some of the things that are on the album that people can touch and go to.
We did a cover of Ain't No Need to Worry with Miranda Curtis, the great Miranda Curtis. I want people to hear it because of how she was so gracious, her and Justin Savage, and lending their talents to pulling this off during the quarantine. And because, again, it speaks to one of my favorite voices, Bishop Marvin Winans and Anita Baker, and prayerfully. And this is what I told them. I wanted to continue the conversation that they started when they first recorded that classic that anchors and comforts us when we hear it, So that's one I want people to check out. My friend, my UT brother, actually sent me a song to work on called Waiting that I hope people catch on. I'm looking forward to the community of faith listening to it, and I want to hear what they think of that song. I think it speaks to this time, how I think our enemy tries to make obscure the answers that are right in front of us sometimes, the answer that we can use to be the miracle that we need to see. So that song speaks to not waiting anymore and just go ahead and believing your dream is waiting for you. And there's a song called Fear Is Not Welcome, where there was a CCM artist. He was a top CCM writer last year. His name is Jeff Pardo, and this is the first time I've ever worked with an artist in that capacity. But I told him about what I was working on, and I showed him the Still song, and this was his response: Fear is not welcome. And we've gotten a lot of love for that song just already, man. I just look forward to people hearing that. And I wanted to shout out Jeff for even agreeing to let us use the song.
You know what? We are, like you were talking about, we are in a time right now, and we talked about it on the show today, where there's a lot of division in the church. I feel it's kind of concerning. I feel that we've mixed a lot of politics into the church right now, and we have a lot of when it comes to the gospel, evangelists, white, evangelicals, the black church. There's a lot going on right now. What do you think could be done to fix that, to bridge the gap right now? Because it's a deep gap, I think.
Well, and forgive me if I'm not getting this right. I'm on, I allow the theologians to check me on it. But I think Philippians talks about how we're supposed to regard our brother more than we regard ourselves. That's part of being in the kingdom. And so a lot of times I see some of this acrimony around us not even wanting to acknowledge our neighbor.
Right.
Much less if they are saying, I'm hurting here, and we don't want to acknowledge it, And
Mm-hmm.
I think just off the top, man, we could just start with being a little more gracious towards one another. Try to be a little kind, to try to be a little more civil, don't use your pulpits to provoke people. Come on, man. That's not what that's
Thank
for.
you.
That's not what that's for. And
Not what it's for.
I can't take you seriously if that's what you're doing,
Nope.
And I don't think you taking me seriously if that's what you do, And so I think that's it. I think we need to take one another more seriously, as if we were made in God's image, fearfully and wonderfully. And there's much more to see than what we can apprehend or what fits into our boxes. We got to start treating each other that way. And I'm preaching to myself because I got my own preconceived notions about things and people and stuff that I see. But I'm charged to lead with love. I know that I'm charged with that. And
but you're definitely right, because we all have our biases. You know what I'm saying? We all do. We all do. The important thing, though, I believe, is that whatever preconceived notions we have about somebody, it's our job not to push that on people who are following you. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't use the pulpit as a way to shove your biases or your prejudices or whatever it is on the flock. You just don't do it. And I think that's where we are right now. When I'm watching some of these sermons, I'm just like, what are we doing now? And how did we get here? And this mixture of social media, politics, and religion, it feels like a powder keg of stuff going on. And you're so right. We just need to be careful with how we do that.
Well, let me say this, though, because I've worked closely with the group. It's called the Black Church Pact. And one of the things they've wanted to do is organize people in the Black church around issues. So I think the first thing you do, you got to sit down and say, okay, what are the issues and what can we agree on, right? I just think that some things are ascribed to politics that are really just, man, that's how people should be treated. Like, why is it political to ask police officers not to kill people?
Right.
Why is that a political issue? Why is that not something that we can address and just find common ground and say, hey, yeah, we do need to fix that.
Right.
We need to make that an emergency, actually. We need to fix that. Why is it a political issue that I think, man, come on, dude. The number is 666 kids have been separated from their parents on the border.
This is not right.
They can't find their parents. Now,
right.
I don't have to tell you who I voted for to tell you, like, yo, can we get them back with their parents? And then can we do something in the future to avoid that ever happening to any other child again?
Right.
Why is it political?
Right.
That's my only thing to that.
No, I got you. And I want to just play a little bit of this. Let me see. Can you hear this? Do you hear that right now? Too low.
There is so much I don't know, but I know your faith.
This fear is not welcome.
If mountains need to be moved, I know you're able. I will lift my hands again and believe what I believe. The Lord is on my side, and now I'm free, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free. Fear is not welcome. Fear is not welcome. Fear is not welcome in my heart anymore. I'm casting it away by the power in your name. Fear is not welcome in my heart anymore.
I want to make sure that people go out and get this album. Man, you're amazing. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, bro. That was Fear Is Not Welcome, off the Still album, which is available right now. Make sure you go out and get that. Like I said, always good talking to you, sir. And you go ahead. I was about to say, anything else you want to let the people know?
Don't forget my link, because I want to get me a sign like that.
I got you the link right here, and my dad's restaurant. I'm shooting all that to you. I got you, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Thank y'all, man, for your support.
Of course, anytime.
I just want to say thank you, man.
And not a problem, bro. Anytime. And make sure you go pick up the album. Still available right now. Make sure you listen to us Monday through Fridays in the afternoons on the Willie Moore Jr. Show. My name is Big Med, the producer. Thank you so much for everyone who was able to spend some time with us today. Thank you. We out. Alexa, turn off the lights.